You see, something's going to happen.
What? What's going to happen?
Something wonderful.
What?
I understand how you feel. You see, it's all very clear to me now.
Welcome to the Occult Rejects. This episode is to be paired with the Magical Herbs and Cranial Nerve series, as well as with the Crystal series coming in the future. The information in this podcast alone is worth the listen, and the information presented here should be meditated on. This is also a very basic understanding and presentation of this topic. More research on this is highly suggested. Every color we encounter has the power to stir our bodies and minds in profound ways. From the scarlet glow of sunrise that quickens our pulse to the cool blue twilight that lulls us toward rest, the human organism responds to color on biological, emotional, and even spiritual levels. Modern science is now measuring these effects in heartbeats and brainwaves, while ancient healing systems and esoteric traditions have long described the energetic vibrations of color in poetic terms. In this episode, we journey through the spectrum: red, blue, green, yellow, purple, black, white, and discover how each hue interacts with the human body, nervous system, and psyche. We'll see what psychologists and neuroscientists have learned about color's impact on mood and cognition, like how traditional medicine like Ayurveda and Chinese medicine use color as a healing tool, and how spiritual teachings link color to energy centers and states of consciousness. The narrative unfolds in vivid scenes, reflecting the emotion and symbolic resonance of color in human experience. Red, the stimulus of fire and life. Imagine a flickering red flame in a dark room. Its light is warm and urgent, and so is its effect on us. Red is the color of fire and blood, of vitality and danger, and it sparks the human nervous system into a state of heightened alert. Modern science confirms that exposure to red can literally set our physiology into motion. When we see red, our brain's hypothalamus receives a jolt via a special eye-brain pathway, the retino-hypothalamic tract, triggering the release of adrenaline-like chemicals. The sympathetic branch of our autonomic nervous system, the fight or flight side, kicks in. Heart rate and blood pressure climb as blood vessels dilate to send blood rushing to our muscles. In one neuroscience review, researchers noted that red activates the sympathetic nervous system, raising brainwave activity, quickening breathing, and boosting blood flow. A surge of red, it seems, can literally make the heart beat faster. Psychologically, red tends to energize and excite. It grabs attention and sometimes provokes intense emotion, from passion to anger. In fact, experiments show that seeing red can subtly influence behavior and performance. In one study, participants doing detail-oriented tasks like proofreading performed up to 31% better on a red background compared to a blue one. The researchers explained that red's association with caution and danger, think of stop signs and red marks for errors, puts us in a vigilant state, heightened focus, and careful attention. However, that same urgent quality of red can hinder creativity and induce stress if overused. Hospitals avoid painting entire rooms bright red, for example, because large swaths of red can overstimulate patients, raising anxiety and even aggravating high blood pressure conditions. A touch of red may be used for important signage or to grab a momentary alert, but a whole environment bathed in red can feel like an emergency. As one design guide put it, red in big doses can increase stress and anxiety and is used sparingly in healing spaces. Traditional healing systems also represent the fiery power of red. In Ayurvedic color therapy, red is considered a warm, stimulating hue, invigorating for those who need energy, but too aggravating for those who run hot. Healers classify red as a rajasic color. It promotes activity and passion. Ayurvedic practitioners might recommend soft pink red tones to uplift someone with sluggish, depressive kapha energy, as red can instill vitality and even joy in moderation. But a pure, intense red is thought to overheat the pitta dosha, potentially increasing irritability or anger in a fiery tempered person. In traditional Chinese medicine, red corresponds to the element of fire and the heart, symbolizing strength, power, volatility. The heart in traditional Chinese medicine is not just a pump, but the seat of consciousness and joy, and red is its color. Appropriately, holidays like the Lunar New Year and spiritual imagery in China abound with red to nourish the heart and spark feelings of joy and celebration. Yet traditional Chinese medicine also warns that excess red or heat can stir yang energy into overdrive. One classical axiom notes that red and its spectrum, red, orange, yellow, tend to provoke yang emotions like anger or agitation if unbalanced. In other words, red is medicine in the right dose. It can energize the weary, but can also inflame the hot-headed. Spiritual and esoteric traditions teach that red connects to our most primal life force. The root chakra, Muladhara, located at the base of the spine, is typically depicted as a deep red lotus. This chakra is our foundation, governing survival, grounding, and physical vitality, and its red energy is about being rooted in the earth. Meditative practices often advise visualizing a red glow at the base of the spine to strengthen one's sense of stability and vigor. Healers who read auras likewise say that a dominant red aura signifies an energetic, fiery presence, a person who exudes stamina, ambition, and drive. A bright red aura can mean the root chakra is unblocked and robust, reflecting confidence and groundedness. But red's aura can have a double edge. If it darkens or muddies, some interpret that as anger, stress, or aggression, clouding the energy field. Across these perspectives, red is the colors of life's raw fuel, to be channeled carefully. In a vivid sense, red ignites us. It warms blood and passions, awakens courage and appetite. Even marketers know red can spark hunger and impulse. Many fast food logos wear red for a reason. Yet, like fire, red's power must be tempered. In the healing palette, red is best balanced by cooler hues, lest its flames burn too high. Blue, the calming cool of sky and sea. Now step into an azure blue twilight, or gaze up on a clear midday sky. Blue instantly soothes. If red is fire, blue is cool water. Psychologically, blue light and color tend to tamp down the body's accelerator and tap the brakes. Studies show that blue environments activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest counterpart to the fight or flight response. When subjects are bathed in blue light or placed in blue tone settings, researchers have observed calming effects, slower heart rates, lower blood pressure, and reduced respiratory pace. One recent experiment using virtual reality found that participants in a blue-colored room showed increased alpha brainwaves associated with relaxed attentive states and a shift in autonomic activity indicative of relaxation. The scientists concluded that simply changing the ambient color to blue could trigger autonomic responses and brain activity linked to emotional processing, essentially calming the nervous system's arousal. Blue, in a literal sense, stimulates our body's calming system. It coaxes the vagus nerve and parasympathetic pathways to slow the pulse and deepen breathing. Psychologically, the color blue is almost synonymous with tranquility and trust. People consistently rank blue as their favorite color, often citing its open, peaceful feel. In cognitive experiments, blue settings have been linked not only to calmness but also to mental expansion and creativity. Researchers at the University of British Columbia famously found that while red sharpened detailed focus, blue boosted imaginative thinking. Participants in blue environments generated twice as many creative ideas and brainstorming tasks compared to when they were under red conditions. The theorized reason is fascinating. Blue cues safety and openness, skies, oceans, encouraging the mind to wander freely and explore. Whereas red signals caution, encouraging vigilance. In everyday experience, we might feel this difference. A blue-painted library or office may subtly encourage a calm focus or creative daydreaming, whereas a red-accented one might keep us more alert and task-driven. Because of its pacifying power, Blue is a cornerstone in therapeutic design. Healthcare environments embrace soft blue in walls, decor, and lighting to promote serenity. One environmental psychology study found the patients recovering in blue or blue-green rooms reported significantly lower stress and anxiety levels than those in a standard white or beige rooms. It appears that a bluish aqua on the walls can literally help lower blood pressure and muscle tension, echoing what nurses and doctors have observed anecdotally for decades. Many hospitals paint intensive care and maternity wards in gentle blue or blue-greens to envelop patients in a sense of cool, calm, and confidence. Outside the hospital, city planners have even experimented with blue lighting in public spaces to reduce tension. In Japan, for example, railway companies installed giant blue lights on a train station platforms notorious for suicides, and remarkably, the number of suicide attempts dropped to near zero in those stations thereafter. In Glasgow, Scotland, the installation of blue streetlights was followed by noticeably reduced crime in those areas. These anecdotal cases, while not fully controlled science, underscore a deep cultural intuition. Blue light soothes and restrains. Some experts speculate the effect might be partly due to blue's uncommonness in artificial lighting. The novelty grabs attention, or associative psychology. Blue equals police presence or a weird atmosphere that discourages mischief. But there's also straightforward biology at play. Blue wavelengths, particularly at moderate intensities, can influence hormonal rhythms, suppressing melatonin, enhancing daytime alertness, and neurochemistry in ways that improve mood stability and reduce impulsivity. Traditional healing wisdom also assigns blue a special role as a cooling, healing color. In Ayurveda, blue is considered a sattvic color when soft, embodying peace, spiritual truth, and cooling vibrations. Ayurvedic healers also use blue to pacify excess heat in both body and mind. For someone with a fiery pitta dosha imbalance, say inflamed tissues or a hot temper, wearing or visualizing blue is thought to cool the flames, easing irritation and anger. Blue is even said to benefit the eyes and vision, which in Ayurveda are associated with fiery pitta. The cooling blue ray soothes those sense organs. However, Ayurveda also notes that too much blue, especially dark or heavy blues, can depress kapha types and aggravate Ayurveda if that makes them too cold or unfocused. Balance is key. In Chinese medicine, blue as a pure color wasn't one of the 5 elemental tones. They categorized the spectrum a bit differently, but aligns closely with black in the water element, representing the deep yin energy of winter, night, and the kidneys. A traditional Chinese medicine practitioner might interpret a bluish complexion or aura as a sign of kidney qi deficiency or excess cold, whereas applied blue therapy, like shining blue light, could be used to cool an overacting yang condition. Interestingly, ancient Taoist healers emphasized that gentle blue-green light nourishes the liver and calms the spirit. This overlaps with the idea that the forest bathing, surrounding oneself in lush green-blue nature, pacifies anger and uplifts mood. On the esoteric plane, blue resonates with communication, truth, and intuition. The throat chakra is traditionally depicted as sky blue, symbolizing clear expression and honesty. A strong throat chakra glows blue in subtle vision, enabling one to speak their truth and listen deeply. When meditators concentrate on a point in the throat and imagine a spinning blue wheel, they aim to unblock self-expression and connect to a higher truth. Indigo, a deep blue with a hint of purple, is assigned to the third eye chakra, ajna, in many systems, governing insight, imagination, and inner vision. Thus, rich blues are often seen as spiritually elevated colors, aiding the shift from the chatter of the mind to the silent calm of awareness. Healers who claim to see auras often say a bright blue aura indicates an insightful, compassionate aura, someone with natural healing abilities or strong intuition. Blue in the aura is flowing and powerful in a gentle way. Like water, it suggests the person is open, empathetic, and has a calm authority. A dull or cloudy blue aura, on the other hand, might signal blocked communication or sadness. Feeling blue is more than a metaphor. Many cultures link blue with melancholy. In mystical traditions from Sufism to Tibetan Buddhism, blue light is revered, often equated with divine protection or deep meditative states. For example, some meditations speak of a blue pearl in the mind's eye, representing the soul or the presence of a deity. In some, blue is the color of calm spirit. It cools what is overheated, steadied what is unsteady, and invites the mind to expand as vast as the sky. Next, we have green. Green, nature's embrace and equilibrium. We enter a green forest glade, sunlight filtering through emerald leaves. Instantly, a sense of peace and balance pervades the scene. Green is the middle of the visible spectrum, literally the balance point of light, and it often has a balancing effect on us. Physiologically, green occupies a sweet spot. It is gentle on the human eye and nervous system, requiring minimal adjustment of our ocular muscles. Not coincidentally, night vision goggles and many user interface designs use green text or imagery because our eyes can sustain focus on green with less strain. In terms of automatic response, green is sometimes described as the balancer between red and blue. While red pushes the sympathetic arousal and blue engages parasympathetic calming, green is thought to mediate between the two, helping restore equilibrium. One source noted that green's effect on the autonomic nervous system is dual. It can be gently stimulating when energy is low and gently calming when stress is high. This is why sitting in a garden can both alleviate fatigue and relieve anxiety. Green supports whichever direction you need to move toward homeostasis. In hospital studies, patients in rooms with a view of greenery, trees, or even a green wall recover faster from surgery and request less pain medication compared to those with no nature view, a classic finding in environmental psychology. Part of that may be the serene imagery, but even the color green itself, painted on walls, has been linked to lower stress hormone levels in patients. Green tends to not overshoot into overstimulation or sedation. It keeps the psychological peace. It is telling that in EEG studies of color, green light has been found to produce mid-range frequencies that can stabilize mood. Not as fast as intense as red, which might boost beta waves, nor as slow as deep blue, which can elevate alpha or theta waves, but a balanced brain rhythm conducive to a steady, relaxed state. Emotionally, green carries the reassurance of nature. Humans evolved in landscapes of verdant savanna and forest, so green often signals safety, fertility, and growth. Psychologically, we associate green with refreshment, hope, and calm. Many people describe their ideal retreat as a place in the green countryside. We intuitively seek out green spaces to recharge our batteries. Even a short walk in a green park has measurable effects. Reduced cortisol, stress hormone levels, improved concentration, and uplifted mood in individuals with depression. Some of these benefits are due to fresh air and exercise, but experiments where people simply view images of green nature versus urban scenes show the green views elicit more relaxation and positive emotion. In design, soft green interiors are used in classrooms and workplaces to create a harmonizing atmosphere that is both restful and alert. One cognitive study found that a moderate green background improved reading speed and comprehension, possibly because it relaxes the visual system without inducing boredom. And of course, green is synonymous with go on traffic lights, signaling calm movement forward, or metaphorically meaning all is well. In traditional medical systems, green is universally seen as a healing, harmonizing color. The ancient Greek and Egyptian healers would have patients sit in rooms with filtered sunlight using panes of green glass to soothe fevers and swelling. Ayurveda regards green as a color of balance and healing for all three doshas. It's considered cooling and slightly moist, which makes it pacifying to Pitta and Vata, yet not cold or heavy to aggravate Kapha. Green is used to calm the nervous system and is even said to tonify organs like the liver and spleen. Notably, Western science confirms that green wavelengths can have a mild analgesic effect and have even been studied for migraine relief. Ayurvedic texts associate green with the heart center and with the air element. It has the expansive, gentle quality of a spring breeze. In traditional Chinese medicine, 5 elements theory, green belongs to wood. the element of springtime, growth, and the liver. The liver in Chinese medicine governs the flow of qi, energy, and the smooth flow of emotions. When someone is irritable or stuck, traditional Chinese medicine says the liver qi is stagnating. Interestingly, they might advise exposure to green, like walks in nature or even wearing a green jade, to harmonize that energy. The color green in traditional Chinese medicine is linked to the emotion of anger when imbalanced. Think of the idiom green with envy, or the image of the Hulk turning green with rage, but also to kindness and renewal when balanced. In traditional medicine lore, the donning of green during spring festivals and ceremonies align people with rejuvenation of nature. Even the global tradition of wearing green on St. Patrick's Day echoes this ancient concept of green equals new life. Spiritually, green glows at the heart of our energy field. The heart chakra is typically shown as verdant green, and it is the bridge between our earthly instincts, the lower chakras, and our higher spiritual centers. Green at the heart represents unconditional love, compassion, and connection. When people do chakra meditation, visualizing an emerald green light in the chest can evoke feelings of empathy, forgiveness, and emotional healing. Healers say a bright green aura indicates a loving person or a healer's energy, someone who is generous, empathetic, and turned into nature. Nurses and doctors, interestingly, often have a green tinge show up in aura readings, perhaps reflecting heart-centered service. A dark or muddy green aura, however, might suggest unresolved emotional pain. Some say it could indicate possessiveness or resentment that needs clearing from the heart. In esoteric Christianity and Western mysticism, green is associated with the heart of Christ, often illustrated wearing a green robe and with the force of healing miracles. In Wiccan and pagan traditions, green corresponds to the heart of the earth, the spirit of plants. It's the energy of Mother Nature's embrace. Thus, across cultures, green is the color of equilibrium. It is life-giving, restorative, and compassionate. When we surround ourselves with green, we invite a gentle, balancing vibration that can steady the heartbeat of our lives. Next, we have yellow, the radiance of sun and mind. Bathed in a golden field of sunlight or sunflowers, we feel a jolt of optimism. That's yellow working its way into our psyche. Yellow is the color of the sun, of warmth and illumination. It tends to stimulate the mind and emotions in a uniquely bright way. Psychologically, yellow light is quite bright to our eyes, even more than darker colors, and can stimulate the wakefulness centers of the brain. Some research suggests that exposure to warm yellow light in the morning helps suppress melatonin and fully wake up our system. This is part of why the rising sun's golden hour energizes us. In terms of the nervous system, yellow and other warm hues can tilt us slightly toward the sympathetic side, not as sharply as red, but enough to increase alertness and heart rate mildly. People in yellow rooms often report feeling energized or lively, but there's a catch. Intense yellow can also strain the eyes and nerves. Designers note that pure bright yellow is the most fatiguing color to look at for long periods because it can overstimulate the eye's photoreceptors and produce glare. As a result, prolonged exposure to strong yellow, say walls painted in neon yellow, might lead to agitation or anxiety in some individuals. In fact, color researchers have observed that babies cry more in bright yellow rooms and adults are more prone to losing tempers or feeling frustration in a highly yellow environment. Something about an overdose of yellow can jangle the nerves. This aligns with guidance in healthcare design. Large amounts of vivid yellow are usually avoided in hospitals, since they can cause eye strain, mental fatigue, and even nausea in sensitive patients. However, in small doses, yellow is wonderfully uplifting. A splash of sunshine yellow in a therapy room, perhaps via fresh flowers or artwork, can bring cheer and stimulate a positive, outgoing mood without overwhelming the senses. Cognitively and emotionally, yellow sparks mental activity. It's often associated with intellect, clarity, and decisiveness. Think of a bright light bulb moment portrayed with a yellow bulb over someone's head. Some psychologists propose that yellow enhances concentration and memory, Some psychologists propose that yellow enhances concentration and memory, likely why legal pads are yellow. The contrast might aid reading, and the color may keep one's mind attentive. There is evidence that moderate yellow light improves analytical thinking and can even slightly increase serotonin production, a neurotransmitter linked to mood regulation. Many people experience yellow as a happy, buoyant color. It's hard not to smile at a field of daffodils or a child's yellow raincoat on a gray day. It's the color of laughter and sunny dispositions. Notably, advertisers use yellow to convey friendliness and confidence. Smiley faces are yellow for a reason. But as with its psychological effects, context and intensity matter. A soft butter yellow can be calming and cozy, whereas screaming neon yellow can amp up anxiety. The cultural symbolism of yellow can cut both ways too. In some cultures, it stands for wealth, wisdom, or imperial glory. Imperial China revered yellow as the emperor's color, signifying earth and power. In others, yellow might mean jealousy or betrayal, as in the phrase yellow press, or wearing a yellow ribbon for a traitor in certain folk traditions. These mixed associations hint at yellow's ambiguous place. It's brilliant and attention-getting, but must be handled with care. Traditional modalities see yellow as a color that energizes the mind and digestive fire. In Ayurveda, yellow corresponds to the element of fire, with a bit of air, and is linked to the solar plexus chakra, the seat of personal power and digestion, both literal and metaphorical digestion of life. Ayurvedic healers say yellow strengthens the nerves and intellect, increases clarity and happiness, and is generally beneficial for Vata, who often need warming up, and Kapha, who need stimulation. However, too much yellow can overheat Pitta dosha, leading to impatience or anger. A person with high Pitta, fiery nature, might feel irritated in a bright yellow room, whereas someone sluggish could feel enlivened by it. Yellow is also said to stimulate Agni, the digestive fire in Ayurveda. Perhaps why many kitchens in India are painted in turmeric yellow. It warms up the appetite and metabolism. In traditional Chinese medicine, yellow is the color of the earth element, associated with the spleen and stomach organs and the emotion of worry and pensiveness. Earth element provides stability and nurturing. In balance, a mellow earthly yellow brings a sense of grounded contentment and strong digestion. But when out of balance, traditional Chinese medicine lore says a sallow yellowish complexion or fixation on the color yellow could indicate spleen deficiency or overthinking. They often advise such patients to get more exposure to nature's greens and yellows in a gentle way, like walking in fields after harvest, to soothe the spleen and mind. In medieval European herbalism, which had its own chromatic theories, yellow flowers like St. John's wort were used to treat melancholy, perhaps a homeopathic echo that golden light could chase away dark moods. In esoteric circles, yellow resonates with the domain of mind and will. The solar plexus chakra glows bright yellow in imagery, like a miniature sun in the belly. This chakra is about personal identity, confidence, and willpower. Visualizing a golden sun at your solar plexus is a yogic technique to boost self-esteem and assertiveness, essentially stoking your inner fire. People who see authors often interpret a yellow aura as a sign of optimism, charisma, and an active intellect. Many public speakers and writers supposedly have golden yellow around them. If the yellow aura is muddy or mustard colored, some say it reveals egoism or scattered thought, the shadow side of mental energy. But a clear, shining yellow in one's energy field usually signifies clarity of thought and a sunny, joyful nature. On a spiritual level, yellow and gold are often linked to higher knowledge and even divine love. Many religious art pieces show halos of gold around saints and enlightened beings. In the Hindu tradition, for example, Lord Vishnu, the preserver of the universe, is depicted wearing yellow garments, symbolizing his knowledge and connection to the light of the sun. Buddhist monks wear saffron robes, a golden yellow hue, representing humility, renunciation of materialism, but also the radiance of enlightenment they seek. Thus, yellow carries a bit of paradox. It represents both earthly mental brightness and the transcendent light. In everyday healing practices, a bit of yellow, sunlight on your skin, or a candle's glow can uplift the spirit and clear the cobwebs of the mind. But just as staring at the sun can hurt your eyes, overexposure to yellow's intensity can unsettle the psyche. The key is to let yellow's radiance empower and enlighten without letting it glare. Next, we have purple or violet, the mystic's hue of creativity and spirit. Under the dim light of dusk, the sky turns violet and purple, a moment that has always struck people as otherworldly. Purple occupies a unique place in the color spectrum and in human culture. It is the blend of fiery red and tranquil blue, often associated with mystery, royalty, and spirituality. Physiologically, purple and its lighter cousin violet has some of the shortest wavelengths of visible light, bordering on the ultraviolet. Some researchers suggest that exposure to violet light can have subtle effects like reducing stress and uplifting mood, possibly because it's at the cusp of what our eyes can perceive and might subtly stimulate the brain's reticular activating system in a novel way. In color therapy literature, violet is said to slow down overactive heart rate and calm the nerves, similar to blue but with a more introspective quality. Historically, violet blue light was used in early 20th century electrochromotherapy devices to treat inflammatory conditions and nervous disorders. Doctors reported that patients felt sedated yet emotionally elevated under violet rays. Modern evidence on this is sparse, but anecdotally, many find that soft purple lighting, like a lavender-colored lampshade or the purple light of twilight, makes a room feel peaceful, safe, and a bit magical. Lavender essential oil, beloved for relaxation, even has a color connection. Its pale purple hue and fragrance are intertwined in the mind to signal calm. On the other hand, bright saturated purple can be stimulating to some degree because of the red component in it. It's a color that draws attention and can be quite bold. Overall, the nervous system response to purple is a kind of awake calm, not drowsy, but not anxious either. Perhaps this is why creative people and meditation rooms alike often feature touches of purple. It's a thought to spark imagination while maintaining serenity. Psychologically, purple has long been associated with the mysterious and imaginative. It's the color of royalty and nobility in many cultures, historically because purple dye was rare and costly. This regal connotation gives purple a feeling of dignity and ambition. At the same time, purple is linked with creativity, fantasy, and the arts. Consider that many surreal and dreamlike visuals, from album covers to movie posters, use purples to signify a journey beyond the ordinary. In color personality tests, people who love purple often describe themselves as intuitive, unconventional, and drawn to spiritual or metaphysical ideas. Purple has even entered slang to indicate something extraordinary or excessive. There is some evidence that a purple environment can stimulate problem solving. One small study found that when people were in a purple-lit room, they came up with creative associations slightly faster, perhaps because the color itself is unusual and inspires out-of-the-box thinking. Purple can also have a soothing, nostalgic quality. Lighter shades like lilac and lavender are used in bedrooms and spas to evoke gentleness and comfort, almost like a soft embrace. In healthcare design, pastel purple or violet is recommended in spaces for meditation or counseling, as it's seen as non-threatening and spiritually comforting. For instance, a palliative care center might paint a spirit room in lavender to help people feel calm and uplifted at once. Some labor and delivery rooms even use purple lights during childbirth to create a sacred, womb-like atmosphere that eases pain and anxiety. Purple's psychological profile is indeed twofold: inspiration and contemplation. It encourages us to daydream and reflect. Traditionally and esoterically, purple, especially violet, is regarded as a highly spiritual color. In Ayurveda and yoga, the crown chakra at the top of the head is often shown as either violet or purple-white. Violet is the highest frequency color we see, so it represents the highest state of consciousness, connecting to divine energy. Meditating on a violet lotus above the head is thought to help awaken spiritual insight and unity with the cosmos. Many yogis describe seeing flashes of indigo and violet light in deep meditation, which they interpret as the activation of the third eye and crown, essentially glimpses of higher awareness. Ayurvedic color therapy uses violet for healing the mind and spirit. Violet is considered cooling and cleansing for Pitta and calming for Vata, helping with emotional disturbances, insomnia, or headaches. Because it has both warm and cool properties, red and blue mixed, healers say violet can harmonize the physical and spiritual energies. In traditional Chinese medicine and other Asian traditions, purple wasn't a primary elemental color, but it held imperial spiritual significance. In ancient China, the purple forbidden city referred to the emperor's palace, purple symbolizing the balance of red yang and blue yin. Taoist sorcerers associated purple with the alchemy of immortality, and Buddhist monks sometimes visual purple lights in advanced concentration states. In Western mysticism, purple and violet flames are symbols of transmutation and protection. Perhaps the most famous is the concept of the violet flame in Theosophy and New Age spirituality. Practitioners envision a brilliant violet fire engulfing their body or a situation, purifying and transforming it. This idea highlights violet's role as a bridge between material and spiritual. In less esoteric terms, many energy healers drape clients in purple silk or use amethyst crystals, also purple, for their purported calming, consciousness-raising effects. Amethyst has been called nature's tranquilizer. It was used by ancient Greeks to prevent drunkenness. The word amethystos means not intoxicated. Metaphorically, it keeps one's mind clear and spiritually sober. Healers today might place an amethyst on the forehead, third eye area, of a client to help induce a meditative state or insightful dreams. Finally, on the human aura, purple hues showing up are usually interpreted as signs of intuitive or spiritually minded person. A person with a lot of purple or indigo in their aura might be highly empathetic, psychic, or deeply philosophical. Such an aura could belong to someone like a healer, artist, or contemplative teacher. Conversely, a lack of any purple might suggest someone very grounded in the practical, without much interest in the spiritual or imaginative realms, which isn't a fault, just a different orientation. The presence of purple in one's field is often described as lifting the energy of the aura to a higher vibration. It's as if purple light in our personal space invites help from higher sources, hence the old phrase, born in the purple, destined for greatness. In summary, purple and violet bring a sense of mystique and sanctity. Whether it's the dye on a monarch's robe, the paint on a meditation hall wall, or the glow of a lavender sunset, purple speaks to our desire to touch something beyond the everyday. It stimulates creativity and spirituality in tandem, a color for poets, dreamers, and seekers. As a healing color, violet is said to soothe mental overactivity, combat nightmares, and inspire inspiration. In a very down-to-earth therapeutic setting, you might find counselors encouraging children to use purple crayons to express complex feelings, or massage therapists dimming the lights with a hint of purple to facilitate emotional release. Purple is the threshold of visual light, and symbolically, it is the threshold to the unknown in ourselves. Next, we have black, the depth of absence and potential. Now we turn to black, the color that is technically not a color at all, but the absence of visible light. Black is the night, the void, the unknown. Its impact on the human psyche and body is complex. Physically, being in a black or very dark environment triggers our primal response to darkness. Our pupils widen to try to find light, our skin might even become more sensitive, and the pineal gland could start releasing a bit more melatonin, cueing our body towards sleep or at least quietude. In terms of the nervous system, darkness often engages a cautious state. We rely less on sight and more on other senses, which can heighten alertness or induce calm depending on context. For example, flotation tanks used in therapy are completely dark or black inside. This sensory deprivation can lead initially to a sympathetic arousal, a little anxiety as you adjust to no stimuli, but then swiftly into a deep parasympathetic state as the mind realizes there's nothing to fight or flee. In daily life, however, Surrounding ourselves with blackness tends to be associated with either rest, nighttime, closing eyes, sleeping in a dark room, or with a low mood, sitting in a dark house with curtains drawn. Black itself doesn't stimulate any retinal cells by definition, so any physiological effects come from our psychological reaction to darkness. Psychologically, black is powerful yet heavy. On one hand, black connotes sophistication, authority, and formality. A black suit, a judge's robe. It can make us feel secure or serious. On the other hand, black often symbolizes death, mourning, or evil in many cultures, which can evoke fear or sadness. A room painted entirely black can feel enclosing or oppressive, making it easy to lose sense of time and space. Some studies in color psychology found that people associate black with negative concepts like failure or grief, and wearing black can increase aggressive feelings slightly. One study noted sports teams in black uniforms had higher penalty rates, speculating the color primed players to be more aggressive or references to judge them harsher. Black's emotional impact is context dependent. In a brightly lit modern gallery, black walls might feel chic and dramatic. In a dim, small room, the same black might feel claustrophobic and depressing. Healthcare design generally avoids large areas of black or very dark colors in patient areas because they tend to make spaces feel smaller, gloomier, and can even reduce visibility for those with poor eyesight. Patients in predominantly dark rooms might feel isolated or melancholy. Instead, dark tones like charcoal gray or navy, almost black, are used only as accents to ground a space, not dominate it. In traditional healing philosophy, black doesn't usually appear as a therapy color in the positive sense. More often, it's a signal of imbalance or a tool for absorption. It is a tamasic color, one that provokes heaviness, lethargy, and inertia. It's considered the least healing color and can aggravate all three doshas if overused. For instance, an Ayurvedic practitioner may advise a depressed individual, high kapha, tamas, to avoid wearing black or living in dark spaces because it could worsen their low mood and energy. Instead, they suggest bright, warm colors to uplift. However, black is not outright bad. In a spiritual sense, black absorbs negativity. That's why in some traditions people wear black when mourning, to absorb or hide from evil spirits, or why healers might use a black stone like tourmaline to draw away pain or illness energetically. Traditional Chinese medicine associates black with water element in the kidneys, as mentioned earlier. Water is the most yin, receptive element, and black corresponds to the depths of winter and the fear emotion. In traditional Chinese medicine, a healthy kidney energy gives courage and will. When kidney qi is weak, a person may be overcome by fear. Interestingly, they might also show very dark circles under their eyes or a dimming of spirit, metaphorically, under a dark cloud. To balance an excess of water or fear, traditional Chinese medicine practitioners might introduce more of the opposite element, fire, which is red, to bring light into the darkness. Yet black also has protective qualities in Chinese culture. The tortoise and the snake of the north, representing protection, often depicted in black. Feng Shui uses black as grounding, absorbent force. A bit of black in a room can anchor the energy, but too much creates stagnation. Esoterically, black is often seen as the color of the unknowable and the absolute. In many mystical traditions, blackness represents the womb of creation, a state of pure potential before light. Think of the black void of space giving birth to stars, or the black soil nurturing seeds. For instance, in Kabbalah and some Hermetic teachings, there's an idea of the black light or prima materia, which is the divine mystery from which all colors emanate. It's said that if one can meditate beyond all form and color, one encounters a comforting, infinite darkness, described not as evil, but as the limitless void of nirvana or the divine feminine. This is quite opposite how to black is portrayed in mainstream culture, showing the dual nature of the concept. In aura reading, a truly black aura is rare and usually interpreted negatively. It might indicate severe depression, anger, or shielding of oneself. More often, people have grayish or dark patches in the aura, which readers say are energy blockages or illnesses. But some advanced spiritual practitioners deliberately cultivate a cloak of black in their aura as psychic protection. essentially to be invisible to negative forces. In Wicca or ceremonial magic, black candles and robes are used not only for banishing negativity, but also to symbolize the crone aspect of the goddess, wisdom of the dark, the deep insight that comes from darkness. It's also worth noting that many monks and nuns wear black habits or dark brown to signify renunciation of worldly brightness and an embrace of humility and mystery. Think of the Benedictine monks or Sufi donning black cloaks in certain orders. Here, black is a statement of turning inward, away from the fleshiness of life, toward the inner light discernible only in darkness. In practical healing terms, black can be used thoughtfully. Some therapies utilize darkness energy, sending someone on a retreat in a pitch black cave or room for several days, a practice found in Tibetan and Native American traditions. The idea is that the prolonged darkness can trigger the pineal gland to produce natural psychoactive compounds, like DMT, leading to spiritual visions and psychological rebirth. While extreme, it underscores that dark and light are both needed for balance. More accessible, sleep therapists advise keeping bedrooms as dark as possible at night, blackout curtains to regulate circadian rhythms since artificial light at night disrupts sleep quality. A dark bedroom helps the body produce melatonin, which not only aids sleep but has healing and anti-stress effects. So blackness, in the right context, night, is deeply healing and restful. But in daytime or living spaces, too much black can dampen one's mood and energy. We thrive with some color and light around us. And next we have white, the light of clarity and wholeness. The opposite end of black, we have white, the union of all colors, the light of purity. White light contains the whole spectrum, and in a sense, it's the completion of color. Physiologically, bright white light is stimulating. It's the closest analog to daylight, which our bodies evolved under. Exposure to white light, especially full spectrum light that mimics the sun, has potent effects on our circadian biology. It suppresses melatonin, boosts alertness, and can increase serotonin levels, thereby improving mood. This is why light therapy boxes for seasonal affective disorder, SAD, use intense white light to alleviate depression in winter, essentially giving the body an artificial dose of sunshine to reset the internal clock and uplift the mind. In everyday terms, walking into a bright white room can feel awakening, almost jarring if you came from a dim environment. Heart rate might tick up slightly and your posture might straighten as your brain registers it's time to be awake and vigilant. However, an overabundance of stark white can also be disorientating or stressful in its own way. Our eyes can suffer from glare in all white settings. The nervous system might actually become anxious if there are no visual anchors or variations. Imagine all white hospital corridor under fluorescent lights. It can feel sterile and unnerving, raising one's guard. This is reflected in design guidelines. While white is associated with cleanliness, too much stark white in healthcare can cause eye strain, headaches, and a cold emotional impression. Nurses often report that endless white walls make patients feel isolated and unsettled, so modern hospitals tend to use softer off-whites or blend white with calming colors. Emotionally and culturally, white symbolizes purity, innocence, and new beginnings in many parts of the world, bridal gowns and baptismal clothes. Being in a white environment can impart a sense of order and simplicity. Think of a sunlit white bedroom with minimal decor, which feels open and peaceful. White reflects light, making spaces appear larger and brighter. Thus, it can lift the mood by combating gloominess. Yet, if overdone, that same blankness can feel impersonal or uninviting. Hospitals historically were all white, walls, sheets, staff uniforms, to emphasize sanitation. But psychologists found that adding some color reduced patient anxiety and made the spaces feel more human. An all-white psyche might be symbolized by clarity and virtue, but people can also fear white emptiness, the blank page that induces writer's block, the sterile white room that feels lonely. In some cultures, white is actually the color of mourning. In parts of East Asia and India, white is worn at funerals to signify the departed soul's purity or the return to source. So, context flips meaning. White can mean death's parlor as well as life's pristine fresh start. In design and therapy, white and light neutrals are used to create a sense of calm neutrality. A psychotherapy office might have off-white walls to avoid any strong color associations that could affect a client's mood. The idea is to provide a blank but gentle backdrop, letting emotions come without color influence. White combined with natural light is especially uplifting. Architects try to flood clinical spaces with daylight, which is white, because it has been shown to improve patient outcomes and mood. A study in a hospital found patients in rooms with ample natural light, hence bright white illumination, had shorter stays and required less pain medication. So white light can indeed be healing. It triggers our innate alignment with a healthy day-night cycle and can reduce depression. In alternative medicine, white is often seen as the color of ultimate healing and purity. Ayurveda regards white and gold, interestingly, as sattvic, embodying peace, balance, and spiritual goodness. Wearing white is believed to soothe the nerves, calm emotions, and increase one's sattva, clarity and goodness. That's one reason why yoga teachers or practitioners sometimes dress in white. They say it helps elevate their consciousness and aura. White is cooling and calming for the mind, useful for Pitta types in particular, although too much stark white can unground Vata if it feels too cold or empty. In traditional Chinese medicine's 5 elements, pure white corresponds to the metal element, tied to the lungs and the emotion of grief. Metal and white is about clarity, righteousness, but also letting go, the lungs letting go of breath, autumn leaves falling. In traditional Chinese medicine's 5 elements, pure white corresponds to the metal element, tied to the lungs and the emotion of grief. Metal and white is about clarity, righteousness, but also letting go, the lungs letting go of breath. In traditional Chinese medicine, a preference for white or an all-white complexion can indicate a mental imbalance, perhaps a person who is too rigid or experiencing unresolved grief. The healing for that might ironically be to add some color, like gentle earth tones, to bring warmth. However, white is also protective in traditional Chinese medicine. Practitioners wear white coats, masks, not just for hygiene, but symbolically to ward off disease influences. In ancient belief, evil spirits and sickness demons were repelled by bright light colors. Spiritually, white is the color of the divine light and completeness. It's often said to contain all other colors, as a prism shows. Many spiritual experiences are described as encounters with brilliant white light, from near-death experiences to enlightenment moments where one sees the light. The crown chakra is frequently depicted as a blinding white or violet white light, representing pure consciousness and connection to the divine. When this chakra is fully open, one is said to experience unity with all existence, symbolized by white light merging the spectrum of individuality into oneness. In religious art, holy figures are shown with white or golden halos, signifying their illumined nature. Angels and heavenly beings are imagined in white robes emanating light. The use of white in rituals, white candles, white altar cloths, usually denotes purification. For example, many energy healers will envision a column of white light pouring down through a person's crown chakra to cleanse and heal their entire body, often as a final step of a chakra balancing session. Aura readers interpret a white aura as one of a highly spiritual person, someone who might be on the verge of a spiritual breakthrough or who is very pure-hearted. A bright white aura is rare and seen in advanced meditators, healers, or occasionally in newborn or children. Some say it's the mark of a new soul fresh from the source. It can also indicate a temporary state. After a powerful meditation retreat, a person might have a white gold glow before it settles. White in the aura can also represent protection. Some people consciously surround themselves with an imagined white light shield to keep negativity out, a common practice taught in metaphysical circles. Of course, too much white light can be harsh, spiritually or physically. Just as staring at the sun can blind, being exposed to extremely intense spiritual energy without preparation can overwhelm. Hence myths of mortals blinded by seeing God in their full glory. Symbolically, Absolute purity is an aspiration, but humans live in a world of color and shadow for a reason. It's how we grow. So while white stands for perfection and wholeness, part of its role is to be combined judiciously with other colors in healing. In a practical therapy sense, you wouldn't keep a patient under glaring white lights 24/7. You give them bright light in the morning and soft light in the evening, balancing activity and rest. Similarly, a spiritual teacher might envelop a student in love and light, but also let them wrestle with their own colorful experiences to learn. In summary, white is clarity, unity, and cleanliness. It helps the mind and body reset and recharge like a fresh snowfall covering the land in silence. It can be both soothing and stark, and thus must be applied thoughtfully, as the canvas upon which other therapeutic colors can dance. A white environment, with touches of nature, plants, and sunlight, often strikes the ideal healing note, clean and uplifting yet still connected to life. We strive for the balance of white's clarity with the warmth of other hues. That way, healing spaces neither overstimulate nor alienate. Having explored each major color's influence, let's step back and look at how color is intentionally used in therapeutic settings. From hospitals and clinics to meditation halls and wellness spas, these environments often put the science and spirit of color into practice in tangible ways, creating spaces that catalyze healing, relaxation, or focus by their very hues. Modern hospitals have become keenly aware that color is not just decorative, but can directly affect patient well-being. As we saw, colors like blues and greens are heavily favored in patient rooms and recovery areas because they foster calm and reduce anxiety. It's been documented that patients surrounded by soft green or blue tones experience lower stress and even report less perceived pain. A pioneering study in a surgical ward found that simply painting the walls a pale greenish blue and adding nature art versus stark white walls led to patients needing fewer pain medication and feeling more satisfaction with their care. Hospital designers thus often use a palette of healing colors, gentle blues, greens, and earthly neutrals. These create a non-stimulating, restorative atmosphere that can lower blood pressure and muscle tension, aiding recovery. In contrast, overstimulating hues like vivid red or intense yellow are avoided in large areas. As noted, a big splash of red in a hospital could increase heart rate and agitation, the opposite of what you want in, say, a cardiac unit. So red might only appear as small accents or an emergency signage when an alert is needed, not on walls or bedding. Yellow are used very sparingly, perhaps in a pastel form for a cheerful note, but designers ensure it's balanced with plenty of calming tones to prevent eye fatigue or irritation. Interestingly, some psychiatric facilities and prisons experimented with Baker Miller pink, a specific bubblegum pink paint, in the 1970s and 80s after early reports claimed it dramatically calmed aggressive behavior. There are anecdotes of agitated inmates or patients becoming more docile after 15 minutes in a pink room. This drunk tank pink phenomenon sparked a trend of pink holding cells. There are anecdotes of agitated inmates or patients becoming more docile after 15 minutes in a pink room. This drunk tank pink phenomenon sparked a trend of pink holding cells. Follow-up research showed mixed results. The calming effect might be brief or psychological, but a few mental health centers still use gentle pink in seclusive rooms to reduce tension. Pink is essentially a diluted red with white, so it seems to initially soothe by engaging that energy of red in a soft, maternal way, yet prolonged exposure could reverse the effect as the nervous system adapts. This taught designers to use even calming colors intelligently. Duration and context matter. A burst of a particular color can do one thing in the short term and another if constant. Lighting is another critical dimension in healthcare color design. Many hospitals now use tunable lighting systems that can shift color temperature over the day. Bright bluish white light in daytime to keep patients alert and orientated, and soft amber light in evenings to encourage rest and melatonin release. Some NICUs have dim red lights at night to protect premature infants developing vision and circadian rhythms. We also see blue light therapy in a very direct medical use. treating newborn jaundice with blue light, which breaks down bilirubin in the skin. This is a straightforward biochemical effect of color, blue frequencies interacting with molecules, and shows that color literally can save lives in some cases. On the other end of life, elder care facilities incorporate a lot of warm whites and soft colors to provide comfort and compensate for aging eyes, which see colors as duller. A high contrast but non-glaring environment is key. Some memory care units for dementia patients use color hues to help with orientation. Each floor might have a signature color, bright but not harsh, so residents can more easily remember and find their way, like you're on the green floor with the green doors, etc. The deliberate use of familiar, pleasant colors can reduce confusion and agitation in dementia care. Outside conventional medicine, spas and holistic wellness centers often explicitly incorporate chromotherapy, color therapy techniques. It's not uncommon for a yoga studio or meditation center to have a chakra color theme. Perhaps each wall is painted a gradient of the rainbow, or the lighting shifts through the 7 chakra colors during guided meditations. The idea is to activate or cleanse each energy center in turn, bathing in a red light to feel grounded at the start of a practice, moving up to violet for spiritual connection by the end. Some meditation rooms use stained glass windows or LED lamps that cast subtle color patterns. For instance, a meditation hall might have an indigo blue domed ceiling with tiny lights, evoking a night sky to encourage inward focus, along with candlelight orange for warmth. Salt lamps, which glow a soft amber orange, are popular in wellness settings for their soothing glow that supposedly also ionizes the air. Saunas and experienced showers now sometimes offer a color therapy mode. You can bask in a steam room illuminated by rotating colors of your choice to match your desired mood: blue to calm, green to balance, red to energize, and so on. While the physiological evidence for some claims is limited, users often report subjectively feeling the difference. And the subjective feeling is a big part of healing. If a person believes blue light relaxes them, that belief itself can trigger the relaxation response. In Ayurvedic clinics, they practice Rang Chikitsa, color healing, by various means. Shining color light through a gem filters onto the body, asking patients to visualize certain colors in meditation, or even having them wear clothing of specific hues daily. For example, an Ayurvedic doctor might advise a patient with a hot liver condition, pitta imbalance causing anger and rash, to spend 20 minutes each evening sitting under a cool green light or gazing at a green landscape to harmonize that excessive heat. They might also suggest decorating the home in calming blues and greens, avoiding too much red or orange in the surrounding until balance is restored. In traditional Chinese medicine wellness centers, you might see the 5 element colors used in acupuncture clinics. A lot of green plants and decor in spring, wood element to support liver health, touches of red in summer, fire element to invigorate the heart, yellows in the late summer, earth to comfort the digestion, white and metallic accents in autumn, metal to inspire the lungs, and deep blue or black in winter, water to soothe the kidneys. These are subtle, symbolic uses, a kind of resonance approach rather than a direct psychological one. Therapists who specialize in children's therapy often leverage color in the playroom. They know that color can influence a child's behavior. For instance, too much red or chaotic multicolor might amp up hyperactivity, whereas a predominance of blue and green can help an anxious child settle and feel safe. Many therapeutic preschool classrooms or pediatric therapy clinics use pale blue, greens, and purples on walls and furniture, adding pops of warm colors only in toys or art areas to spark creativity without causing constant overstimulation. Even the color of therapy tools is considered. A child with aggression issues might benefit from squishing a cool blue stress ball, cool color to cool down emotions, while a withdrawn child might respond to a bright yellow puppet to subtly cheer and engage them. These choices are informed by both experience and emerging research in environmental psychology. There are also the self-help practice of color visualization. Many wellness coaches encourage clients to breathe in certain colors during relaxation exercises. For example, if you're anxious, you might be guided to close your eyes and imagine breathing in a soft blue mist and exhaling out any jagged red or gray energy. People often report this helps, likely by giving a concrete image to the abstract task of releasing stress and because our brains do respond to imagined stimuli similarly to real ones. Visualizing color can induce psychological changes. For example, athletes visualizing red or fiery colors often find a burst of adrenaline or confidence, whereas those visualizing cool tones might actually calm their heart rate, a kind of placebo effect via our synesthetic associations. In churches, temples, and sacred architecture, color has always played a major role in evoking certain states of consciousness. Stained glass windows in Gothic cathedrals bathe interiors in rich blues, purples, and reds, which early Christian mystics believed were heavenly rays influencing the soul. Blue glass for the divine truth, red glass for the Holy Spirit's fire, purple for penitence and mystery. Walking into such a cathedral on a sunny day, one can't help but feel a shift. The colored light itself creates an atmosphere of awe and reverence. In contrast, a lot of modern meditation centers, like Zen dojos, prefer plain white or beige walls. The idea is to avoid visual distraction entirely, letting the mind become a blank mirror. That in itself is a conscious use of color, or lack thereof, to support a practice of clarity and emptiness. Beyond explicitly therapeutic settings, the principles of color and psyche are applied to general environments that affect well-being. For example, some innovative schools paint classrooms different colors depending on the subject. A soft green for a reading room to aid focus and reduce eye strain, a gentle yellow for a math room to encourage alert thinking, a creative art room with splashes of energetic red or orange to stimulate imagination. Orphan spaces often use blue or green accents in brainstorming areas for creativity and calm, and maybe red in a break room or coffee station for a quick, energizing pick-me-up. These choices can improve productivity and reduce stress-related issues in employees. Hospitals have extended this thinking to staff areas too. Nursing stations might have cool blue-green backdrops to help staff stay calm during long shifts, whereas break rooms might have an accent wall and a revitalizing coral or yellow to combat fatigue during a quick respite. A big trend is biophilic design, integrating nature's colors and materials for wellness. This means using lots of greens, plants, living walls, earth tones like browns and wood textures, and sky tone blues, because humans have an innate affinity for the hues of the natural world. Even artwork of landscapes can have therapeutic impact. A famous study by Roger Ulrich in 1984 showed that post-surgery patients with a window view of trees healed faster than those looking at a brick wall. Now, even if a real view isn't available, hospitals install wall murals of forest or beaches, effectively coloring the space with the greens and blues of nature. This nature simulation helps lower stress indicators in patients and staff alike. In sum, therapeutic environments carefully orchestrate color to support healing goals. Whether it's a subtle pastel palette that quietly induces calm or a dynamic color-changing installation that guides meditation participants through an inner journey, the use of color is both an art and a science. Architecture and healthcare experts are increasingly collaborating with psychologists and sometimes artists to craft spaces that feel right for recovery. They rely on evidence, like knowing blue can reduce agitation and promote relaxation, and on cultural wisdom, like understanding that soft pink or lavender can make a space feel nurturing. The result is environments that almost whisper to the patient's subconscious, encouraging the body to heal and the mind to be at peace. As an example to tie it together, picture a modern holistic wellness center. The lobby has a fountain with green plants and teal blue tiles, immediately cooling and refreshing your senses. The waiting area has chairs upholstered in warm, earthly tones, grounding and comforting. Soft music plays while the walls glow with a gentle amber light as the afternoon sun filters through some cream curtains. Each treatment room is painted in a color suited to its therapy. A pale violet room for Reiki energy, healing to enhance the spiritual vibes. A soft blue room for massage therapy to deepen relaxation. And maybe a cheery light yellow room for nutrition counseling to keep clients upbeat and mentally clear. The mindful arrangements of these colors means that by the time a client leaves, they have been enveloped in a full spectrum of healing cues, often without realizing how each space's colors affected their mood and physiology for the better. Color is the silent language of the environment, perpetually communicating with our brains and bodies. As we've journeyed through reds and blues, greens and purples, it's evident that color's effects are both subtly physiological and profoundly symbolic. Modern science gives us measurable proof. Our heartbeats quicken in red rooms and steady in blue ones. Our brainwaves might spark with creative theta rhythms under a soft azure light or find focused beta clarity on a red background. The autonomic nervous system dances with the changing hues, a delicate push-pull of sympathetic excitation and parasympathetic calming that can be guided by something as simple as the paint on the walls or the color of the light bulb. Yet beyond the metrics of heart rate and hormone levels, colors carry ages of human story and healing lore. Traditional cultures wove complex tapestries of meaning, a turmeric yellow to cleanse and sanctify in Ayurveda, a jade green to harmonize liver qi in Chinese medicine, a royal purple to signify spiritual devotion in a medieval cathedral. These systems recognize that color could align with moods and energies, anger flaring as red, serenity descending as blue, growth unfurling as green, and they use that insight in holistic treatments and rituals. Modern practitioners might dismiss some older chromotherapy claims, but increasingly, even skeptics acknowledge that if a certain color consistently makes a patient feel safer or happier, that color is therapeutic in that context. Ultimately, human experience of color is a synergy of body and mind. The red you see is not only wavelengths hitting the retina, it's also the echo of every fire and rose and blood and sunset that red has ever been in your life and culture. The body reacts, the mind interprets, and the soul perhaps finds meaning. Spiritual teachings on aura and chakras add another layer, suggesting that colors are not just external stimuli but intrinsic to our very being and consciousness. They say we emanate color, that our spirit has hues which mirror our emotions and development. Whether or not one believes in auras, it's a beautiful metaphor. A person in full bloom of love might indeed glow green with heart energy, and someone in a transcendent meditation may feel enveloped in brilliant white light. These images remind us that color and emotion are inseparable in the human imagination. For the documentary of our lives, color provides the mood lighting. We paint our bedrooms in tranquil tones, hoping for better sleep. We choose clothing colors to shift our mindset, a power tie in red for confidence or a soft blue outfit for a calm day. Hospitals swap out harsh white for seafoam green to give patients a sense of hope and ease. Cities experiment with blue streetlights to gently discourage late-night crime by cultivating a calmer ambience. Even when we close our eyes, we see color in our dreams and meditations, the mind's way of processing feelings and perhaps healing itself. In every sunrise, in every stained glass window, in every lush forest, and every art therapy studio, colors affect us profoundly, stimulating our bodies, shaping our moods, and touching our spirits. They are nature's gifts and a therapist's tool. By understanding the science of color psychology and physiology, and by honoring the wisdom passed down about color's role in healing and spirituality, we can more deliberately surround ourselves with the hues that balance us, inspire us, and help us flourish. In the grand spectrum of human experience, colors are like characters, each with a voice and purpose. Learning to listen to those voices, we find that a blue sky can comfort as much as a kind word. A red scarf can embolden like a battle cry. A green garden can restore like a long meditation. And a white candle's flame can symbolize hope as real as any medicine. Our world is awash in this vibrant medicine of light. As we move through the days, we can take note of how the colors around us make us feel in the body and mind. We can tailor our environments, perhaps dimming the lights and enjoying a wash of gentle purple when stress is high, or opening the curtains to flood a gloomy room with golden sunshine when spirits are low, to harness color's therapeutic effects. Modern design is increasingly doing just that, creating user-friendly color experiences in homes, schools, hospitals, and cities that align with our innate responses. All the while, traditional healers and spiritual teachers remind us that color is also a gateway to inner work. Visualizing colors can shift our mental state, and understanding our personal resonance with certain colors can reveal something about our emotional landscape. In the end, the influence of colors on the human body, nervous system, and psyche is a testament to our exquisitely tuned nature. We are quite literally creatures of light. Our very biology converts light to signals that sustain our rhythms and our sight. And our hearts and minds convert light to meanings that sustain our dreams and our cultures. The story of color and humanity is both scientific and mystical, as rich and varied as a rainbow. As one poet said, "We are rainbow people, and every color is within us." By embracing that, we appreciate how the reds, blues, greens, yellows, purples, blacks, and whites in our lives are not mere backdrops, but active participants in our health and happiness. The documentary of color and human life continues to unfold. Ever rich, ever fascinating, a living palette painting the experience of being alive. Hope you all enjoyed this one, and until the next one, everybody be well.